Today we're going to talk about the math behind why we prefer forever cash flow versus short-term or one-time cash flow. Hey guys, my name's Arianne and welcome back to the channel. We created this so good people like you can retire early with passive income as well. So if you watch some of our previous videos, we talk about this concept of how we flipped 500 houses and then we realized that we didn't really want to flip things, we wanted to hold them. And it's because of this concept of when we work on something and put our capital into something that gives us forever cash flow, forever potential appreciation, and forever tax benefits, it outweighs all of the other short-term opportunities because forever is a long time. Now, obviously, forever is hard to quantify. So in this video, I'm actually going to talk about comparing a 3 to 5 year type deal and a 30-year timeline deal. In reality, when we buy deals, we do plan on holding them forever, right? Pretty much for us, for life, and then we plan on passing those on to our kids and so on. We are gonna have some math here, so I just want you to, I know sometimes when we see like math and spreadsheets, it's a little bit daunting. I want you to just focus on kind of the overall concept and the idea. I'm also going to link a copy of this spreadsheet down in the description below. Don't focus too much on the spreadsheet in this video. I just want you to, again, grasp the concept of it. Also, these are just assumptions, right? This obviously is not like our real life right now example. I'm just, again, trying to show you the concept of like what it could look like for a deal that is long-term versus a deal that is short-term and what that return impact is. So, here on the screen, you can see two sides, right? The blue side is the long-term hold syndication, and the green side is the flip in 3 to 5 year syndication. So the blue side talks about this forever cash flow and how much you would get. For this example, it's 30 years, how much you would get in over 30 years total. And then on the green side, the flip type where you would sell in 5 years is how much you would get in 3 years. So the assumptions for both of these sides is we buy a property, in 3 years we either sell the property and capture the gains, or on the blue side, we refinance the property and we still hold the property for the next 27 years so it cash flows and we still have tax benefits and all that. So the short version is on the long-term side or forever cash flow side, every 3 years, assuming I invest 100K and then I get my 300K back, and then I would like keep doing that over and over, right? Because I got my 100K back, I could deploy it again. Every 3 years, that 100K would give me 176% return. Now, some of that I get in the first 3 years, and then the rest I get over 27 years. So for this example, by year 3, I get 66.5% of those returns. And then the rest of the returns, up to 176%, happens gradually over the next 30 years. Contrast that to the green side, where we flip and sell the property in 3 years. My 100K then gives me a 54% return by year 3. So it's still actually less than the long-term hold by year 3. And then obviously we sold, so there's no more returns to be had for the next 27 years. So just with these two examples, you can kind of see why we prefer the forever thing, right? Because even by year 3, we get extra return. Usually that's because of the tax benefits. Because in the green model, when you sell, you actually lose some of the tax benefits because usually the tax benefits were for holding the property. So that's one of the reasons. But just cumulatively, right? Like if every 3 years, my 100K can give me 176K, and some of that I just have to wait, 27 years for, that is better than it just giving me 54K. So at a high level, that is the idea. That's why we prefer forever cash flow versus short-term cash flow. In this sense, 30-year cash flow versus 3-year, cash flow. And then I'll go through some of the details, but I won't delve too. I don't want to put you guys to sleep. I know this is kind of boring. So some of you who are really into spreadsheets, you can just download the spreadsheet and see what I'm talking about. But I'll walk through the general points here. So this first table, on the blue side, it shows you that the return without future cash flow for something that you buy and then you add value to and then you refinance, right? In the first 3 years, it would be a 48% return, right? And then on the right side, it's also a 48% return. We're just assuming they're the same deal. You're just choosing to do refinance and hold, or you're choosing to sell, right? They're the exact same deal. And then the future cash flow, though, you have this extra $54,000. So if you add those up, you have a 102% return on the long-term hold side for just cash flow and equity for 27 years plus 3 years, so 30 years. And then on the green side, when you sell, you have 48% return. Now, if we add tax benefits, that's where it gets cooler, right? So we're assuming here that 50% of the capital you invest in a syndication like deal like this, you get as depreciation. And we're assuming your tax bracket is a 37% tax bracket. For those of you who want to change the assumptions, do that when you download the spreadsheet. We'll link to that in the description. So with that calculation, the tax dollars saved on the left side is $18,500, right? And then if you add that tax savings, that's real tax money that you didn't have to pay because you just bought this thing and held it. That, if you add that, is another 66.5% return. That's why we have 120.5%. Now on the green side, the flip side, right, where you sell in 3 years, because you don't keep the tax savings, when you sell a property, you actually pay recapture and depreciation. Then we just reduced the tax dollars saved, right? Because you did actually still save tax dollars when you sold, right? Because you would have paid 37% and instead you only paid 25% in taxes. So the tax dollars saved is $6,000. And then if you add that to your total return, you get a 54% return. So that's where we get the total return for the flip syndication. These calculations, 120% versus 54%, is just calculating as is, right? It's as if rent didn't go up and the equity didn't go up, which is very likely, right? Because there's inflation. So if we did adjust that and just gave the long-term syndication a 3% increase in rent and equity each year, then the total return with future cash flow is $158,000. And then if we add the tax benefits, it's actually $176,000 in real cash flow and tax savings. So your return percent with the future cash flow and tax savings is 176% or $176,000. On the right side though, it's 54% or $54,000 because it's a short term. So as a summary, with the long-term hold where you hold it for 30 years, your 100K every 3 years gives you a 176% return. It's just 66% of those you collect by year 3, and then the rest you collect over time. But in the flip syndication, in 3 years, it gives you a 54% return, but that's it. So if I had a choice, if my 100K, right, imagine your money as like soldiers working for you. If I'm putting my money at risk, I want it to work as hard as it can. So if it can bring me back 176% versus 54%, I would prefer the forever cash flow, the 176% any day. There you have it, guys. Hopefully that helped. We have other playlists. If you haven't watched the other video where we go over how we bought 24 units and what actually happened after 3 years, it will shock you because it's at least a little bit of a real example of this forever cash flow versus the short-term cash flow model in live action. Obviously hasn't been 30 years yet, but you can see it over like a 3 or 4 year time span. So watch that video for sure. And then check out the other videos in our playlist. Again, our goal here in this channel is to help you learn more about real estate investing so you can also have financial freedom with passive income. We also have a free Facebook group called Faster Financial Freedom where you can network with others on the path to financial freedom and others who are already there. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching and we will see you at the next video.